I don't know a lot about farming. I guess you can see. I mean, the closest thing that I do to farming on a regular basis is sometimes when I'm at the grocery store, I'll buy stuff out of the bulk bins. I'm not saying it's as hard as farming. I'm just saying there's a lot of similarities. You got to shovel out the walnuts, you got to put the walnuts in a bag. You got to weigh the bag. Farmers are always weighing stuff. You got to write the POU code number on the bag. A lot of times there's not even a pen to write that POU code number on the bag. So you take it up to the register. The lady's like, you're supposed to write the code number on the bag. I'm like, lady, there's not a pen to write that code number on. Honestly, now that I think about it, it's probably harder than farming. You don't have all those steps in farming. You don't have to deal with that lady. And why do I have to write the code number on the bag anyway? They're walnuts. If you work at a grocery store, you should be able to identify a walnut. That should be part of the hiring process. What's that right there? Oh, that's a pecan. Nah, you can't work here, man. You're fired. But they were like, no, we got to know whether they're organic walnuts or regular walnuts. I'm like, well, organic walnuts are $78 a pound, and I'm not a Saudi Arabian prince, so I'm pretty sure they're not organic walnuts. There's like 6 guys in the world that can afford organic walnuts, and none of them just used a frequent shopper card. Like the first farmer that I really ever knew was through wrestling. I was a wrestler when I was in college. And yeah, my senior year, my coach called me in for a meeting. He goes, Warren, you need more competition in the practice room. He goes, this is what we're doing this year. We're bringing in this guy named Steve. He's a local farmer. He used to wrestle back in the day. He was real good. I'm like, all right, I'll wrestle Farmer Steve. Steve shows up the first day. He's old. He's like 45, all right? When you see a guy that's 45 and you're 20, you're like, I'm not gonna wrestle that guy. I'll play checkers with him or something like that. So for the first hour of practice, Steve just sits down on the wall like an old guy. Finally, coach goes, Warren, wrestle Steve. I go, Steve, you wanna warm up? Steve goes like this, he goes. That's not a wrestling stance. I look at my buddy, I go, I don't want to hurt this old dude. And then they blew the whistle. Steve jumped about 1.5 feet in the air. He grabbed me by my chin and my head. He threw me on the mat and proceeded to beat me. Like when I say beat me, I don't mean he scored more points than me. He physically beat me. It was like he beat me over the head with me, all right? Come to find out, Steve was on the Olympic team in 1980. Nobody told me that. You guys remember what happened in 1980? We boycotted. We didn't go. And apparently, Steve was still angry about it. I was on the bottom like, Steve, I'm not Jimmy Carter. I had nothing to do. If you guys don't remember what happened in 1980, that summer the Olympics were in Moscow, and in the spring the Russians invaded Afghanistan, and our president said, hey, if you guys don't get out of Afghanistan, we're not going to the Olympics. Now what he could have done was just sent Steve to Afghanistan. He would have handled that situation in about a half an hour. No more Steve, very bad man, no more Steve. We quit. You have Afghanistan, you have Russia if you want, just for God's sake, please, no more Steve. Very, very bad man, Steve. So yeah, man, that's my limitation of farm knowledge. Steve, and it wasn't pleasant.